So let's talk. So this is the start of a new series called the Christmas Collection, where I just talk about some classic or kind of Christmas movies, and I kind of review them in one video. I might do a few of these this December. I haven't decided yet, but I wanted to start with a couple. Actually, three here. We have Mickey Mouse's Once Upon a Christmas and Twice Upon a Christmas, which are two different specials. And then we have Robert Zemeckis' A Christmas Carol, starring Jim Carrey. So I may do the next episode of this series next week. I might do one of these every single week if I can watch Christmas movies in a reasonable time and do that every single week. And yeah, I might do like the Santa Claus movies next because, kind of going with the Disney theme. Let's start with the Mickey Mouse. This has been on Blu-ray for a long time. I've never had it. This is a newer slipcover that they issued this year. I like that they're putting these movies still available for the holidays. And then they have like new slipcovers. They're actually really nice. But this is a 2-movie collection. And basically, it was a direct-to-video. Once Upon a Christmas was a direct-to-video Christmas movie. Let me see what year. Does it say what year it came out? No, it doesn't. But basically, the first one was traditionally animated, and it was, so that means it's like 2D, and it was very pretty. The animation wasn't like the most beautiful, but for what it was fine. And it was just kind of a collection of generic Christmas stories with Mickey Mouse. The Mickey and Minnie one where they're like, hey, we got to get a gift for each other, but they end up selling their most valuable possessions to get each other gifts. And that's kind of a generic story. I don't know where exactly that story's been told, but I feel like I've heard that a million times. You got the Goofy one was the most entertaining because it's just a Goofy and Max when he's a kid and kind of getting what he wants from Santa, and him believing in Santa and everyone else around him trying to tell him no, Santa's not real. And then you have the Huey and Dewey Louie one, which is always most boring because those are really boring characters because they're just copy and paste same exact characters unless we're talking about the new DuckTales reboot, which is different. And so they're just not interesting characters, and we follow them as it's like that Fairly Odd Parents episode where it's like Christmas every single day, and everyone gets sick of it, and it causes a lot of problems. That's what that is, and it's very boring. Like, yeah, a lot of these aren't the greatest. They're kind of generic Christmas specials. But I feel like if you like Disney a lot and Mickey Mouse, you'll find some enjoyment in them. And I can't say I didn't. I wouldn't call them great or even that good, to be honest. But yeah. And then the third one is just terrible because it's you no longer have the beauty of the animation. It's very early 2000s, ugly CG animation, and the first one's kind of like a ice ranking competition and characters being aggressive and learning their lesson. It's like it's not entertaining to watch. Only thing I enjoyed about it is they had like the hippos and some of the characters from Fantasia, and that was cool. Like I love Fantasia. I like seeing that. But then that was just like it. And then you have the one about Goofy and Max trying to not embarrass his girlfriend with his dad, Goofy, and I'm like, cool, but like, I don't want to. They're just boring. And then the Donald one's mean spirited. He gets aggressive and then learns the true meaning of Christmas. But it's just a really mean spirited story. And yeah, it doesn't. It's just, and there was bland pop songs. It was just really, it was bad. The first one was fine, and then we just went from that to bad. It's like there wasn't a high bar to begin with, and you somehow made it worse. But yeah, I think if you like Mickey Mouse, you'll find some enjoyment. What's interesting though is that Twice Upon a Christmas, I've seen that one the most. I think we own that one on DVD, and then around Christmas time, it was one of those specials we just kind of watched every year, and it was kind of like don't think I ever requested it. It just got put on, and then it was like, okay, we're watching this now. You know, a lot of the Christmas specials from my childhood, well, from a lot of people's childhood, I didn't watch. Like, I didn't watch the Rudolph stuff or any of that. I didn't watch Frosty or any of that stuff. We didn't even own that stuff. I watched the Ron Howard, Jim Carrey Grinch movie, which I absolutely hate. And then I watched the animated short, of course. And then we just watched Peanuts. That's it. Like, that's all we watched. And I was like, yeah, you watched that. Cool. So, yeah, we didn't really watch majority Christmas specials. My dad's never been big on those. I've never seen A Miracle on 34th Street. I know I should probably watch that. I've never watched... Well, no, it's been a long time since I actually watched it in school for the first time. It's a Wonderful Life. I love that movie. I didn't get it in 4K, but yeah, you know, a lot of those classic specials I never really watched. And now I'm kind of like coming back to some of these Christmas movies and being like, oh, this is what I missed out on. My brother's favorite was always Polar Express, and we watched that one a lot, but I never liked that movie. But I always remember the hot chocolate song, so. And then let's talk about the Christmas Carol. Yeah, I really hate this movie. Here's the thing. Robert Zemeckis started this motion capture company, and he was doing movies like Polar Express and Beta Wolf and Monster House and different stuff. And like, none of those movies are good. Actually, Monster House is pretty decent, but like, the animation is terrible. Like, it defeats the whole point of it being animated, okay? Robert Zemeckis wants to take something that's animated and make it look real. So he has real people filming the movements and then animates that. Instead of just filming these movies that could be in live action. Every single one of all the movies he made are movies that could be made in live action. And he made them ugly because he didn't understand that animation isn't supposed to look real. And if he wanted something to look real, he could just made it for real. Like, why would you do this? Like, motion capture is a great technology. You know, Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or the Planet of the Apes movies, the newer trilogy at least. The older ones didn't have that technology, but of course they didn't. But the newer trilogy, you know, they have that technology, and it's a great technology and it's great use. You know, that technology is fantastic and can be used to do so many great things. It made those movies great, but the difference there is they're giving realistic movements to an animated character, not Jim Carrey as the Scrooge. And like, also this movie is really dark, and like, I like that tone for the movie because that's kind of the what's the word, tone of Charles Dickens' original novel. But it's like sometimes he misses the point of Charles Dickens' original novel. Like, you're supposed to enjoy the Ghost of the Present or whatever. You're supposed to enjoy him in the movie. Like, you're supposed to enjoy him and like him. He's supposed to be like a likable presence. But Scrooge is afraid of him, not once connects with this character, and then he has a horrific scene where he dies and you see his skull. Like, it just doesn't, it defeats the whole point of what that scene was supposed to be. It's a generic retelling of A Christmas Carol, and it's not entertaining. It's very boring because it tries to be so miserable, and again, at some points that makes sense, but at other points it doesn't, and it just goes too far in one direction. And when there's supposed to be a blend of the kind of darkness and that kind of joyful excitement, and that's what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a mixture of that, but instead you get neither, because it just goes one way too far in one direction, and it's so miserable that you don't want to watch it. And that, yeah. And also, this movie was made to be in 3D, And so when you watch it at home now, and I never saw this in the theater, it looks horrible because they're trying to do all these perspective shots that only look good in 3D. You have things that stay in front of the screen like this, and you're like, okay, why are you in the screen this long? It's because in 3D, it's like it's supposed to be like popping out your face. Well, I'm watching this at home, not in 3D, because, yeah, I mean, it looks horrible, and it's a terrible effect. And if you make, that's why 3D was such a terrible gimmick, is because like it's a cool effect in the theater, but then when you watch it at home, it's terrible. Because you watch it and it's like, wow, cool. And 3D was just such a gimmick, but you just watch it at home and it just looks awful. You know, there's some movies that were translated to 3D that are so unwatchable. But yeah, these aren't the best Christmas movies, but I know some people enjoy this one, and I you know, whatever, fine. But these two, I don't know. I think they're kind of lesser known Christmas movies. Let me know your thoughts on these movies. They're both on Disney Plus if you want to watch them. I prefer owning things physically. I think, plus these are really pretty slipcovers, and yeah, I enjoy them. I have them in my collection, so yeah.